The lands and waters in modern-day Chicago have been a crucial transition zone since time immemorial. In particular, the portages at Chicago have been part of significant trade routes linking the upper Great Lakes with the Mississippi River watershed. Knowing where these portages were and how to navigate them required extensive knowledge that Native communities gathered over centuries of trading, farming, and making their homes along Chicago's waterways.
This is Pierre-François Pinet's 17th-century dictionary of the Miami, Illinois language, and a 1692 fur trade contract between François Francouer and 4 voyageurs for the transport of goods and purchase of beaver pelts through Chicago. Dave Spencer, Diné and Mississippi Chata, Executive Director of the Chicago American Indian Center, and co-curator of the Indigenous Chicago exhibition.
These 2 items can tell us a lot about the way that European settlers depended on and oriented their decisions around Native people. As French Jesuit priests entered what is now called the Midwest, they tried to convert Native people to Christianity, often setting up missions to do so. But in order to get Native people to listen to their messages, they had to establish these missions in places where Native people were already living or frequently traveling through. Such was the case with the mission of the Guardian Angel, a Jesuit mission established in 1696 on the lower Chicago River near 2 U.S. summer villages, which also included Peoria, Kaskaskia, and Miami people. It was at the mission that Father Pierre-François Pinet created this dictionary, recording the language of the peoples he was trying to convert.
The page of the dictionary you see here has an important word, Pa-Pangamwa, or as it's written here, Pa-Pangamwita. Pa-Pangamwa is the Miami, Illinois word for fox, or renard, as it's listed in French here. When this dictionary was discovered at the archives of the Jesuits in Canada in 1999, scholar Michael McCafferty was able to distinguish that this was the Miami, Illinois language, rather than another within the larger Algonquin language family, because Pa-Pangamwa is unique to the Miami, Illinois language.
In addition to the establishment of missions and later treaty negotiations at places that were already important to indigenous people, the fur trade also shows us that settlers had to integrate themselves into existing kinship networks. Ojibwe scholar Michael Witkin describes this process clearly. Settlers either became Endenwemagan, or relatives, or remained Miagigwen, or foreigners. And in order to be successful in fur trade, they had to become relatives. Marriages to Native women often facilitated this, but Native women were not passive participants in these arrangements. Instead, they served as translators and instructors of Native protocols for their husbands. Many, like Marie Magdalene St. John, who signed this contract on behalf of her husband, were directly involved in managing the fur trade business. A century after St. John, Kitahawa and Archange Wilmette, Potawatomi wives of French traders Jean-Baptiste Point de Sable and Antoine Wilmette, respectively, are said to have assisted with the management of their husbands' businesses, enabling them to travel across the Great Lakes region for long periods of time. While DuSable and Wilmette are remembered today as heroic founders of the city, their success and well-being depended on Native women who enabled them to exist within a dynamic Native world.